Today I want to talk about the generations and where the heavy lifting for this very strange moment in history, where that heavy lifting is going to be done. Now, this very strange moment in history is, if for anyone that is unsure, I am referencing to the Metacrisis, the big crisis of everything kind of falling down. We have a population decline, so more old people than young people. Pensions not an option. You've environmental degradation. Both the oceans are dying off and the soil on the land isn't as fertile anymore, and we're going to be struggling for oil and energy. Then we also have AI and technology becoming like whatever that brings, we don't know quite yet. And then we have all the geopolitics of mutually assured destruction not being as good a container anymore because there are more people involved and there's more weapons, bioweapons and information weapons, hacking, all that stuff. So breathe, okay? That's this is where we're at, and that's just on the kind of like the big picture, big world sort of stuff. Then we also have community degradation. We also have individuals, isolation, just lack of coherence, lack of common union, lack of friendships. There's skyrocketing depression and suicide, and all of these like individual, semi-spiritual, this kind of like trying to pick ourselves up and also trying to find a North Star. Roughly speaking, so that is the Kairos. That is this turning point. That is this like hinge point in history where a lot will depend on how we respond to a lot of this stuff. Because we won't get to go back and do it over again. We're at a very specific moment. So with all of that, how do the generations play into this, and what are we to expect from the different generations? Because I believe the Millennials, my generation, and the generation afterwards, the Gen Z, so Millennials are 30 to 45 roughly, Gen Z is your 30 and below. We haven't fragmented it after that. We don't know the next hinge point for the next generation. So for the moment, it is Gen Z 30 and below. You have Millennials 30 to 45. You have your Gen X 45 to 60, and you have your Boomers 60 to 75, and the silent generation at the very tail end there. So how is this all going to play out? Just like, let's just zoom out and just kind of look at it with a bit of distance. We are going, like, Boomers came after the war. They brought democracy to the world. They were so proud. Yes, we are vital. Like, we defeated the evil, or like, our parents did, or like, it was still in that kind of thrust of we're figuring it all out, and we're doing good. We're doing good. The West is something to be proud of. Then you have Generation X, and you have your civil rights movements, you have your feminism, you have your kind of like free love and all the rest. You have this kind of questioning of all these boundaries and duties and must-dos, and all of this just being like, let's be a bit more accepting. Let's not be quite as rigid because we're coming into a globalized world, and that rigid structure just could never have worked. And it's an absolute gift that we got. So we have the Millennials, who then inherit this, which again, it's beautiful. Essentially, the legacy that was inherited or given to was, you can be anything. Anything you want to be, you can do it with the right energy. We'll encourage you, like, just shoot for the stars and you'll aim on the moon, or you land on the moon. Like, just go get it. Like, the world's your oyster. Go travel, go do stuff, like, take years out, do a bit of writing, just find yourself, like all of this sort of stuff. It's all permitted. It's beautiful. It's not necessarily a strong legacy though. So at this time, like, remember the 90s when like atheism and Dawkins and stuff became like, really strong, just titans. Because, just down with the old systems, just all systems. And let's not pretend that stayed in that generation. It didn't. It's only escalated, as I'm sure some part of you is screaming while you're listening to this. You're just like, that's gotten worse. That's not necessarily Gen X. But okay, so roughly speaking, this is massive stereotypes, massive generalizations I'm making here. But I do think that the Millennials and Generation Z are going to have some real heavy lifting to do. Because there's a refinding of legacy. There's a refinding of ideals. Postmodernism, postmodernism, the like deconstructionist sort of movies of see it from all different perspectives and you'll understand the situation so much better, and that is coming to an end, because once you deconstruct down to the smallest atom, the smallest molecule, it's hard to go much further. So now there's some bit of a call to building back up. We have meta-modern movies now, where yes, you've postmodern kind of techniques in your movies, but you have like a traditional sort of emphasis behind it. Yes, we can understand everyone, but, vitality and life and duty duty and legacy. So, I feel like that needs to be sat with. I've gotten angry about this. I've mourned this. I've grieved this. I've been just why, like all the other generations, like why are they not kind of like coming in on this? How is everyone not seeing the problem? How is from where we are to where we need to get to is such a jump. It's ridiculous. So, and one more thing. We might not see the end of it. We might not see the fruits of our labor. That's the pinch point. If we create a legacy, if we create this kind of like inheritance that we're proud to hand off, we will be the generation that didn't get an inheritance. And there's some kind of resistance to that, and there's some if only we could get like a helping hand along with this. And the helping hand is the freedom to try and recreate this in this post-Christian world, in this potentially Neoplatonist world, in this kind of non-dual perspective. I won't try and project out, not in this video, of different angles of tackling a worldview, how to orientate yourself in the world. But I'll say, just inheritance-wise, giving a strong inheritance. Hey, if you look at it this way, you'll be better. If you do the morning routine and you do the cold plunges and you do all these things or whatever else, you will be better. If you train your brain with meditation so that you don't get caught in loops, you will find a freedom that you didn't know you had. You will recognize it in the smallest of moments. You will recognize it in every conversation. You will recognize it in every time you loop around. I'm hungry. Food for me is when I get stressed, food's my thing. So all of that, it's all legacy with a vitality, with a kind of a real force behind it to really give it to the next generation, to say it to the young person, to say it to like under 18, hey, you need to meditate, because looping thoughts and in conversation you're not necessarily here. You keep following something without being present as much as potentially you could be. Okay, let's not get into the details too much here. So, that's your kairotic moment. That's the kairos. This is the hinge point of history. This is the change of, we haven't seen this since the collapse of the Bronze Age, potentially. This only happens in a blue moon. This is like the collapse of Rome. This is not a common space to be in. Okay, that's that. Legacy is going to be important, and we're going to start building, they call it cathedral mindset. That's what John Vervaeke calls it, is a cathedral mindset. Starting the building knowing that you will not be the one to finish it. Knowing that it will live past you. Its construction will live past you. So you will simply be and you won't even be the founder. You'll be collaborating with future generations, and who knows how many generations that will take, or potentially that's an eternal sort of headspace to be in, to always be building the cathedral for the next generation, where they can relate to the vertical, they can relate to something ideal, something perfect, something divine, or whatever is the North Star, the guiding principle, and also to relate within that, to relate to the community, to relate to everyone around you, so that you have a common language, a common union as you forge forward in life, all of this stuff. Okay, so Kairos, legacy. That's a heavy weight. Here's the exercise I suggest for today. Plan your life out every decade. What type of person you want to be, what attributes, what characteristics you want to have. You want to be assertive and go-getting potentially in your 30s. You want to keep that emphasis. You want to really hunker down these next 10 years and just build the community, or build the business, or build whatever it is, just flesh out that decade, what characteristics you want to have. Then same for in your 40s. What characteristics? Will you have children? What age will they be? Will you have community? What position will you have? Will you have, again, job, we can get into kind of the more quantitative sort of qualities, but I want you to try and emphasize on the qualities, the qualitative differences. Not necessarily how much you earn, but your position and relation within your company, or within your business, or whatever else. Okay, so do it for every decade. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. An elder. What characteristics are you going to have? Are you going to speak really fast? Are you going to speak really slow? Are you going to be a storyteller? Are you going to be fixing stuff? Are you going to be teaching? Are you going to be the one to teach the grandkids? Are you going... All of this. Try and flesh it out. And then over the next week, spend time meeting each one. Really trying to relate to them. Hey, 40-year-old me, you're going to be hopefully something that is built, and hopefully all of this sort of thing, and you're holding on to that. Family is there. Community is more of a thing. I want to be able to respect you. Then to 50s, what's the gear shift there? What's the difference? 50, you're at the second half of your life. You're looking to what can I give? What can I really give? 60s, how am I going to live the rest of my life? My community will have changed. My job might have changed. Family will have definitely changed. Okay, so how I want to be able to respect you. I want to have some deep love for these versions of me, because that's who I'm building, and that's what the world needs. So that's what I'm building, that's what the world needs, and that's potentially what is being drawn from you. Again, if there's an ideal, if there's a divine, if there's some sort of North Star, that's what it's demanding of you. This is a great exercise. I've found it such a safe home to come back to return to. When we are looking at this kairotic moment of just how much is going on in every direction, and then the legacy that we want, that's going to be demanded of us, that's going to be required to help the next generations to navigate all of everything. There's so many things to change. As I said, the jump from where we are to where we need to be on the individual, isolated community front, on the spiritual front, as well as the environmental and the oceans and the technology and the geopolitics and everything else. Like, it's a big moment. So legacy, offering that out, being that generation. So I hope you've stretched and you're feeling flexible and ready to get into this. Because we're going to, no matter what happens, we're going to give our life to this life. There's no other way out. Like, we're going to give our life to this world. So what are we going to give? I think legacy for a kairotic moment is such a hero's journey. Holy crap. So lay out those chapters, relate to them, have them as like little sages on your shoulder who maybe speak to you. 60-year-old you is maybe saying, like, for me, diet. 50-year-old me is saying community. 80-year-old me is saying humility. because this we're going to be building, again, cathedral mindset. We're going to be building something that we won't get to see the finish of. We won't get to see the end result. We won't get to have we did it, huzzah. No. Likelihood is no. And yet, how beautiful it is to collaborate with future generations, where you allow them, you build, yes, and also allow them a space. If that's not integrating the boomers and the Gen X, I don't know. So that is today's video. Strange headspace perhaps, but I do feel like this topic needs a bit of air, needs, again, a bit of digestion, just a bit of time. Whether that is to grieve it, whether that's to get angry, whether that's to kind of negotiate. We're going to go through our 7 stages of grief. Like, we're going to try and barter our way through it, all of the rest, until we get to that point where we accept it and strive forward. So, that's this week's topic. I hope you've had a great week. I hope you're looking forward to this week to come and all of these little conversations that you might have with these different characters, these different personas, these different stages of yourself that you want to love and respect. I hope you're looking forward to that type of conversation. I hope they're not too nice. I hope they're a bit cheeky with you and they give you a couple of hard truths perhaps. But not for them not to be overly judgy either, for them to allow you to also have this decade, have this chapter also, like, enjoy it as well. But there's a lot to be done. So I hope you're just up for that conversation. So, hope you've had a good week. Hope you're looking forward to the week to come. I will see you next week. Bye, guys.